Hello and welcome to DTV, your source for news and information about the Knox County Democratic Party. I'm Michael Davis, and I'll be your host for today's program with Tennessee House of Representatives candidates for the District 14 race that is coming up on August 2nd. Both of our candidates will be on the ballot in the upcoming primary election on Thursday, August 2nd. We're here to give you the insights that you need straight from the candidates themselves so that you can make your decisions in the booth. Our first guest with us today is Justin Davis. Justin, thank you so much for being here with us today, and welcome to DTV.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, so Justin, tell us a little bit about the 14th House District, and where is it, and tell us a little bit about the people there.
It's located in Farragut, parts of West Knoxville. A lot of great people. A bit more affluent. There was used to be farmland years ago. Now there's a lot of subdivisions popping up, so it's growing quickly. Great place to live. Love it there. A lot of great people.
Okay. What are some of the things that you're hearing from the constituents in the 14th District?
I think one of the biggest concerns has been that I hear quite often is just that people feel like government's not working for them anymore. They're kind of frustrated with that. They're not seeing the results coming out of Nashville that they want to see. They're not really seeing any results, and I think that that's a big frustration for them. You know, they start to become discouraged. They start to feel like, what's the point in voting? So I think that we got to show them that we've got representatives out there, or candidates out there anyway, who are looking to represent them and want to come up with results that'll help all of our people.
Okay. So how do you plan personally to accomplish goals in that way? What would you like to do as a legislative priority, perhaps, to show people that you're committed to bringing trust back to the government?
I think, for one, you know, we're out there trying to tell voters what we're about, and so I think that if we can go in and get a few things done early that'll benefit them, they'll start to see that they do have a government that'll work for them. One of the issues that's important for me, and it's something I feel like we probably should have accomplished in the last session, was expansion of Medicaid. We all know how important that is. We're sending federal tax dollars to DC every year. That money's going to other states, so it's not coming back to work for Tennesseans. Because of that, a lot of our hospitals are being closed, which, you know, Tennesseans are losing access to care. They're losing jobs. So we want to get that money back, reopen those hospitals. That money coming back will also allow us to better combat the opioid crisis. We can start opening up treatment centers, things like that, education programs to help people. And also, you know, it allows us to cover more of our citizens, especially our elderly folks, you know, veterans who need some extra help, or children who are born with disabilities, and bring that money back and put it to work for Tennesseans. So I think that's very important. I think it's something that it's a common sense issue. I really don't feel like it's such a bipartisan issue. There are Republicans in the House who do want to expand Medicaid. So I think if we can flip a few of these seats, like in District 14, we'll have those extra votes to get this done, so that we're bringing that money back and putting it to good use for Tennesseans.
Okay. So you mentioned there that it seems like a logical thing to do. I would agree with you. It seems like keeping a healthier population just kind of influences everything else to the positive in our state. And especially seeing as how the Affordable Care Act is still the law of the land, we're all paying for this, you know, from over the entire country. So we might as well be getting some of the benefits in Tennessee from it by choosing to utilize some of that expansion program. Yet still, a lot of people are against it. I think there is some Republican support in the House for it, but it seems to be that the large majority is not. Otherwise, they already would have voted for it. And also, there seems to be some public sentiment against it. What would you do, you know, in the leadership position of a state representative, to get that message out? One, to the people, to get your viewpoint about that this is a logical step, this is good for everybody, out there to people in an effective manner. And also, what would you do to build that coalition within the legislature to get an actual passage for Medicaid expansion?
Well, I think you hit it right there on the head. It's making citizens aware.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the ways is, yes, just explaining you're already paying for this. That money is leaving Tennessee, and it's not working for us. It's going to, states like Virginia and Ohio and Kentucky. I think that Tennesseans, they're going to get that. They're going to understand that they want that money to stay here in the state.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're already paying for that program, you might as well make it work here. And like I said, a lot of places, especially these rural areas where the hospitals are closing, so they're losing access to care. I think that hits home for a lot of them. You take a nurse who maybe has lost a job because of a hospital closing, that hits home for them. So if we can get citizens to understand this issue, to support this issue, I think that they're going to be calling their representatives and pushing for them to back that.
Okay.
So I think that's important. And also I come from a conservative family, so I know what it's like to argue back and forth with conservatives and find a solution and not choke each other out. So I think that that'll be key when I go to Nashville, is being able to work across the aisle, being able to communicate with conservatives, and I think maybe pull some of them over.
Okay. Any particular obstacles that you think that have prevented this, both on the public acceptance of it and the legislative acceptance?
Well, I think, labeling, like you said, some people, when you present it to them, and if it's called Obamacare, they don't want it. But then if you call it affordable health care, they see what's in there, they want those things. So I think just getting the right message across to people.
Okay. All right. So one of the things I believe that you've talked a lot about is political corruption. The concern over it does seem to be at a high point right now. Interestingly, it may be that the real measure of this is expressed in the public not by their vocal condemnation or their outrage, or visible outrage over it. It's more of the actual apathy, maybe sometimes the refusal to participate in the system, the refusal or to vote in something that they see as being too corrupt to change. So what would you do to show to people that you're not part of that problem?
Well, I think one of the things for me is, I'm against big money in politics. It's one of the reasons I decided to run. I was on the fence about running, and then the day after the Parkland shooting, I'm sitting in my car listening as they're reading these text messages that had come in to the parents from the students. And then the conversation shifted over to, is this finally when we do something about gun reform? And I got very angry at that point. I went from being sad to angry because I felt like they weren't going to do anything, because so many politicians, they've either sold out to the gun lobby or they're afraid to take it on because of that money in politics. For me and my campaign, we're not taking those big donations. We're not taking PAC money. So we're trying to avoid all that. We don't, it's to show voters that they do have a voice in government now. I don't want to sell out. I want to represent them. So I think that just leading by example and showing voters that, yes, you do have someone that's willing to fight for you, that's not going to sell out, I think that that'll change their perception and maybe have them be interested in government and being active in government. And I think we're seeing a lot of that now. I think that the Democratic Party has a lot of momentum behind it, and we just got to keep that up. We just got to keep pushing, keep engaging people and getting them active, have them come out to a meeting, get involved with a campaign, or find an issue that they're passionate about, and just keep encouraging that growth.
Okay. So in terms of, back to more economic financial issues, what are your views on raising the minimum wage in Tennessee? Why should someone earning more than the minimum wage even care about this issue?
Right. I think it's very important. I think that we should raise the minimum wage. I think it's long overdue. I see way too many people working 2 and 3 jobs, still struggling to make ends meet. I don't think that that's what Tennessee's about. We're hard-working people here. Lived here my whole life, I know. And so these people deserve a wage that they can live off of. They're not able to even rent a one-bedroom apartment off of a minimum wage job, so much less start a family. It's funny that, I mean, yes, here in Tennessee, we do have low unemployment, but we also have the most minimum wage jobs. So people are still struggling. If we can raise the minimum wage, and corporations are making tons of money, they can afford it. So I think that by raising the minimum wage, we allow our people, better opportunities to succeed. They've got better chances of purchasing health insurance, things like that. So it's very important that we raise that minimum wage, because that money's just going to keep going in. They're going to purchase goods and services.
Right.
So it's very important for our economy to raise the minimum wage.
Okay. So what are some of your personal experiences that have led you to want to serve as a public servant?
Well, I definitely believe that, yes, it is a service. I don't want to be a career politician, but I just care about people. I've always cared. I've lived all over East Tennessee. I was born here in Knoxville, but we bounced around a little bit when I was young. So I've seen a lot of people struggle, and sometimes it's not their fault. They're hardworking. Maybe they have an injury. Maybe they didn't receive a great education, whatever it may be. But they're working hard. They're trying, and I hate to see people who are trying so hard suffer. And if you've got a disability that keeps you from working, we have to take care of each other. And I think that's what Tennessee is about. We're generous people, we're hardworking people, and so that made me want to step up and try and help people. Okay. Help those people who feel like they've lost their voice.
All right. So how can people get in touch with you and your campaign if they want to help out?
They can go to votejustindavis.com. They can look us up on Facebook. I'd love to have people reach out, become active. We can definitely put them to work. We're out canvassing all the time, trying to engage voters. So we'd love to have all the help that we can get there. And give us a call. We're ready to put you to work.
Okay. And so just one last question to you. If you make it through the primary, you'll be up against an incumbent Republican legislator. What would enable you in the general election to be more successful in November than your primary opponent?
Right. Well, I think it goes back to what I keep saying, just voter engagement. Talking to voters, engaging them, letting them know that I'm here to help them. I'm not going to sell out like our current representation has done. I'm not going to sell out to the gun lobby or pharmaceuticals or any of that. I'm here to fight for them. So I think that as long as we're engaging them, letting them see that, I think that we can swing some voters over to our side.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else that you'd like to tell our voters about yourself and your campaign?
I would say, I'm big on education. I feel that we do have to strengthen education here. Okay. It's the key to a successful future here in East Tennessee, so it's time for us to fully invest in that future. Let's get our teachers pay raises. When we've got good schools, quality education, people want to move to those good schools. Businesses want to come into those areas to take advantage of a good educated workforce. So that provides opportunity for our people. It raises tax revenue for things like infrastructure. So I'd say that, I'm a big proponent of strengthening our education system.
Okay. Well, Justin, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you taking the time with us. And thank you for watching. Please stay with us for the second segment of today's show with Alex Dunn, our next Democratic candidate for the Tennessee House of Representatives in the District 14 primary. You've been watching DTV.